Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. We're here to talk Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's fury towards the Man United board, towards Woodward. The lack of activity appears to be getting to the Manchester United manager. That is, of course, according to reports coming out this morning. I want your views and opinions on this. And listen, rivals can be bitter. Rivals can be banterous in their approach in the comments. That's cool. That's fine. That's normal, if anything. I actually expect that from rivals. If I'm not getting that from rivals, it's weird. But I want to have a serious conversation about this because Ole's fury is fine. It makes sense. I back it. But the reaction that Ole gets from the board, from Woodward and judges now, needs to be perfect. It needs to be the perfect response. We cannot panic buy. We cannot deviate from our plan. We cannot pull the rug from out under the feet of Ole for speaking his mind. If any of those things happen, the work that Ole has put in for the past 18 months is gone. It evaporates. It is finished. We're going to delve into that in a little bit more detail. Do me a big favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button right now for me. The like button's even more important. New membership levels have been added to the Football Terrace as well today. We basically renamed them. I wanted them to have a bit more of a football theme as well on the Football Terrace. So we've had that done now. You'll see that if you click on the join section. If you're already a member, you'll also see it as well. So essentially, our tiered membership levels now are Academy member, squad member, first team member, and we have a legend category as well, where it just says legend. You're there. So there's 4 categories to our membership pyramid now. And then more football apt. I had a bit of feedback on it and thought I would do that. So we have Academy member, squad member, first team member, and legendary status. So you can go out and of course become an official member of the Football Terrace, either by clicking the join button on your screen right now or clicking on the link that I'm sharing inside the live chat facility right now, and also the live comment section below. So I want your views. I want your opinions. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling about this. And there's so much stuff that's circulating about Man United today. You know, Man United, the Teller situation is kind of protruding again. There's a comment here from Fabrizio that says last Friday, Man United had direct contact with the agent about signing another left back. They said they want to and are going to sign Tellers. They are convinced they can buy Tellers, which is great. But there's this, who's this other fullback we're looking at? Why is it taking so long? There's reports today that Dortmund are frustrated with, and the Sancho camp are frustrated with Man United's approach towards getting Jadon Sancho. You then see this situation, and I will quote Ole. I'll get his quotes up in front of me right about now. They're here somewhere. I was looking at them 5 minutes ago. This was it. He said last night, he said tonight is hammered. This was after the game on Saturday, and this is doing the rounds again. He said that this result hammers home that we need to improve. This is not good enough against any team in the Premier League, and that we also need to look at not only improving, but also improving our squad as well. And now this is all kind of amalgamated. How long the Tellers deal is taking, the frustrations with the media reports coming out about Thiago and Sergio Reguilon, the situation with Jadon Sancho. And I even saw another comment today, which made me laugh a little bit as well. But equally, it made me kind of think there's an element of a point here. And I need to find it. I need to find this here. I need to find this comment because it made me die with laughter. Where's it gone? How can I have lost this? But it was basically suggesting that how is it possible that Man United have got a situation with 3 top-class goalkeepers, but they don't have that strength and depth anywhere else? Has that been a bit of a fluke by Man United? And if not, if there's a pattern to achieving that, echo that in defense, midfield, and in our attack. We've got brilliant first-team players in our attack. We've got brilliant midfielders, but now it comes to strength in depth. And you do that by either improving the first team, so your current first team has become your depth, or you buy a better depth. You have to do one of those 2 things. You have to. And for me, I am worried about now in the remainder of this transfer window. I truly am. I'm a bit panicky about it. I'm a bit worried about it. And especially now that we hear Ole is doing exactly the same thing, that he has gone directly to the board that includes Woodward and the Glazers, and he has told them straight, This is not good enough. We must improve. However, to bring that all to light, the Telles deal, Sancho deal, the stuff in relation to Thiago and Sergio, the lack of backup, the criticism of the Donny van de Beek deal, the worry that we don't have enough strength in depth, the losing of the first game of the season, even last night against Luton, our inability to put a team like Luton to bed until we bought on the Avengers, shows that we must be more active in this transfer window. Ole is now speaking up. But my fear before I open the phone lines is thus. If we open up to what Ole's saying and panic, and I'm not saying Ismaila Sarr would be a panic buy. I don't know whether he's a panic buy. Only they do. But if somebody isn't upon our list of number one, maybe number two options, and if the number two option means that in 6 months to 12 months we can't land the number one option, we must not buy. We must stick to whatever our plan is and do everything in our power to make that plan happen, not deviate from it. So what I'm reading into, my opinion, when it comes to Ole's frustration, is that we must deliver the plan of action. We must achieve. We must deliver. Spat on my mic there. We must deliver in those instances. What we cannot do is go, right, we can't get Sancho. We can't get Sarr. They were number one, number two. Getting Sarr won't stop us getting Sancho in January next year. We can't get either of them. Let's go for that lone player who we don't really know much about and don't want. Let's just buy a centre-back for 25 million that we don't really need, don't really want, haven't scouted. He's 10th on the list. That, for me, would be a disgraceful way for Man United to push forward from here. It truly would. That, for me, would undo the good work that has been done by Ole so far. Got a super chat here from United's non-Mancunian. Says we could sign Jamal Lewis for 15 million. Newcastle got a good deal. Would you be happy if we did sign him? Yeah, I mean, Jamal Lewis would have been good. I think Alex Telles is better. And I don't necessarily think we need to sign just youngsters. I think we do need players that right now can make a big, big impact. Jamal Lewis, as it stands right now, isn't better than Luke Shaw. He could grow to be better than Luke Shaw, but I think we need a few instant successes. I think we need a few players that come in, like Liverpool have done with Thiago, like Liverpool did with Salah, like Liverpool did with Van Dijk. Established football players, a really good age, come in and they hit the ground running. That would be my preference. Thank you, by the way, to Daniel, Chelsea FC Wilkinson, who's upgraded his membership to legendary level. So too has Winter Surfer upgraded his membership to legendary status. And man like Billy T has upgraded his membership to a first team member. Appreciate you all doing that massively. As I said at the top of this video, I'm publishing the link right now in the description, in the comment section. If you want to become a member from as little as 99p a month, you can do. We have 4 categories of academy member, first team member, squad member, first team member, and then we have legendary member as well. You can do that. Skype lines are now opening. Make sure you smash that like button. But I want your views and opinion on what Ole is angry about in your interpretation of the news that's come out today. And what do you think the ramifications will be? That's the big question. What will the ramifications be? I want to hear from you right about now. We're live for the next 20, 25 minutes or so. Let's do some of these live comments until we get some calls through here. Let's see what's being said. I want a good one here. Ultra here says, Terry, when Ole first took charge, he said if things go tits up, he would walk for the good of the club. I saw the interview. It may have been with Gary Neville. I'd like to see that again. I mean, I don't remember seeing that. And you've got to also remember that you change your mind about certain things. If Ole can see that this club is being run poorly, I want him to stay and help guide the sinking ship as best as possible. I would much rather an Ole on the inside of the tent spitting out than the outside spitting in. You know, they may not, I'm not disagreeing that the way we're running the football club is, I'm not saying it's perfect. However, you know, for me, there's this element of, I feel like if we turn our nose up at what Ole's doing, and Ole might himself have thought, you know what, if they start taking the Mickey Mouse, I'll walk away and I'll out them. But maybe he looks at it different now that, you know what, if I walk away, who's going to come in and help steer this ship? There's holes all over the place. There's a lack of investment. They're not backing managers how they should for a club this size. But if I walk away, who's it going to be? That's the big conundrum in my head as a fan. Thank you to Kennedy for signing up now and becoming a legendary member of the Football Terrace. Thank you. Thank you to United's non-Mancunians for becoming an academy member of the Football Terrace. And also thank you to David McBrin, who has upgraded and become a first-team member. And then upgraded himself again, and he has become a legendary member of the Football Terrace. I appreciate that massively, my friend. Thank you. Up on the show now, we've got Jem on the line. Jem, what you saying, bro? You there, Jem? Jem's not speaking to us. Not sure what's going on. Iwazi's with us. Iwazi, what you saying, bro?
How are you doing, Terry?
I'm very, very well. What do you make of this story relating to Ole, his frustrations at the club, and everything else that's going on?
I just feel like who's not frustrated? As a fan base, you're all frustrated, but most importantly, Ole, because Ole's got a vision and a plan to take United somewhere, and now he's not being backed with the right players. He's asked for a centre back and a right winger, and he hasn't got them. So it's only normal to see that he's frustrated. If you watched yesterday's game, we saw he looked a little bit edgy. Just because, like, looking at the results, not the result, just the way we performed in the first half, and just seeing the players that we had in terms of our reserve, well, not our reserves, but like our bench, our squad depth that ended up playing yesterday, and just seeing how, just the quality from when Rashford, Bruno, and Greenwood came on compared to the first half. So I think it's just a little bit frustrated, and it's just I don't blame the man at all.
No, I understand that, mate. I think what I saw with yesterday's game was very simple. If we just took, say, Lingard out of our squad as an example, and added, and you started that game with Rashford, or you started that game with Jadon Sancho, or Ismail Sarr, and you took out of that game like Williams at this age, and Alex Telles was in that side, or Luke Shaw was playing last night. If you had 2 or 3 more players who were a grade up, who were a tier up, I think you dismantle them easier. Our problem is when we start rotating past our main. If you don't have Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood on that football pitch, we really struggle. Van der Beek throwing that at 6. Those 6, I'm so comfortable with. Yeah. You can't keep playing all of them. You have to be able to rotate. And if you play all those 6, but take out Martial and then play Igalo up front, Igalo's fine because he's surrounded by that quality. And back in the day, the Darren Fletchers of this world, the John O'Shea's of this world, even like the Chicharitos, who weren't of the highest tier, because they were surrounded and had wrapped around them high quality players, they were elevated. Man United's problem is, outside of a core sort of 6 or 7 individuals we have as outfield players, the standard goes from very good to really poor. We have no middle ground. There's no center. Do you get where I'm coming from? There's no center there.
No, I get
and
you.
That's where we need to improve. So you either improve that by making the top better and it filters down, or you fill that middle ground. And if Man United don't do that over the next 2 weeks, that's where we may struggle this season. I've got Jem on the line now. Jem, can you hear us?
Yes, bro. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. How's Dubai?
Not bad. We're in the hotel at the moment, just getting ready to shoot out in about an hour or 2. But yeah, not bad. Not bad. How things are?
Yeah, it's raining here, mate. So yeah, all good. So you definitely. We're talking about the situation with Ole, and supposedly he's been kicking off and fighting back and pushing back at the board, saying he's not happy with the transfer activity. Do you make Ole right for doing that?
Yes, I think the fact that these guys still haven't got Jadon Sancho, it doesn't even look like you're going to be getting him. You can understand why he's annoyed. You've only got to look at your recent games, haven't you? Really, from what I understand with the Luton game, it took your Avengers to come on to change the game, and that's not good enough, is it? Especially when you're playing someone like Luton. So
yeah, it kind of It took. We were comfortable-ish. Yeah. We just didn't have the added quality that was needed. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right, mate. I couldn't agree with you more.
In terms of from what I've seen when I was in the UK. I think Luke Shaw's just not good enough, mate, whatsoever. I think you do need a left back. In terms of a centre back, I think you need someone to pair with Maguire as well, because again, the strength that you've got there is not good. And then also, I think you guys need an out-and-out striker. I don't think Martial's consistent enough to go for a whole season to, for you guys to rely on for him to bring you in, 30 odd goals or 20 odd goals a season. I think you need a proper out and out striker as well. What do you think about that?
I trust in Martial. My fear is beyond Martial. There is very little else. Now, like I've said before, though, I'm not precious about any of my players. I'm a little more biased towards the Greenwoods and Rashfords, AWBs, Maguires, because I have a national interest. So, of course, if someone says to me right now, which of United's current players do you want to become the best in the world? I'm always going to pick the English players because they play for my nation. Why would I not want my nation to have the better players? Like, that's just normal. The same as if there's a French person watching who's a Man United fan and they had that choice, they'd want it to be the French guys and German. Yeah, we want our countries to be the best possible. But on a real level, I don't care what Man United players do what. Like I'm really relaxed about that, and I've always been serious about that. Like, I'm not bothered. So if we sign Harry Kane tomorrow, cool. If that means Martial's on the bench, as long as we score more goals, we win more games, we win trophies, I don't really care. So it's not that I think Martial can do it, but I think we need a better backup. That comes one of two ways. It means you either buy someone better than Igalo, who's a backup player, which might be a Josh King, right? Or you buy someone who the manager believes is better than Martial, and you push Martial down the pecking order slightly for a season or two. It's one of those two things needs to happen. It's the same with Rashford. Bringing in Sancho could mean that Rashford misses out in the first team. It just could. It means in a year's time, Greenwood could be through the middle, Martial's back out on the left, and Sancho's on the right. Do I care from a Man United perspective? No. And by the way, I won't put my country's success over Man United's. So, like, there's a pecking order. I want Man United to be winning titles before I want anything else. After that, I would like my country to be winning. So I have a bit of a bias that I want my fellow countrymen within the Man United setup and elsewhere. Like, if someone says to me now, you've got to pick one Liverpool player to be world class, I'm going to pick the English guy just because I want him to be world class in my country, And it's just, I get where you're coming from. I think Martial can deliver, but we just need more behind it, in my opinion.
If you sign a Sarr, Mason Greenwood originally, his position is a striker, wasn't it? He's throughout his Manchester
he is, and
United
he will
career,
become a number 9 striker. Yeah.
Does it not give you options? So you sign Sarr, for example. Yes, he's a winger. Will he start? Probably not. But you can start with Mason Greenwood on the right, and then potentially take Martial off, put Mason Greenwood up front, and then throw Sarr on the wing. It just gives you options. You know what I mean? At the moment, I don't think you've got that with like James, for example, as well. Like, I just don't think you can bring him on and change the game.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I'm happy with anyone we sign as long as that person is part of the original plans. So what I don't want to happen today is Ollie to walk into the room, slam his fist down on the table. He walks out, and Woodward and the board go, right, we have to go and sign someone. And we buy people that are 5th, 6th, 7th choice on the list, or we buy people that we had no real interest in doing in the first place, or we buy someone who doesn't fit the character criteria or doesn't have all the attributes that we want in a player. So we just put in, I don't just want to put bums on seats. I don't think that's what Ollie wants either. That's what we've done before. We did it with Fred. Now, I like Fred, but Jose Mourinho didn't want him and was told you either take Fred or you get no new midfielder. That cannot be the approach of Man United anymore. It just can't be, because, we can't do that. We can't do the Sanchez deals, where he's at Liverpool now. But I'd have been disgusted at my club if we went up to Thiago and said, would you like to join us? Are you a good club, man? But I'd rather Liverpool. How much are they paying you? 250 grand a week. Listen, there's 500 grand a week. Come play for us. I don't want to do that. I just don't, because I don't think you get the buy-in from the player. So I want us to go out and buy now. I want us to have a reaction to what Lee's saying, but it has to still be within the realms of our plan. We've added man like Mo to the call. Mo, what you saying, brother?
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. What's on your mind?
I was going to ask you, you mentioned about panic buy. Do you think we'll get a panic buy?
Well, I hope. We won't know.
I hope not.
We won't know. we won't know if it's a panic buy until later on down the line, unless we fluke it and the panic buy works. The point I'm making is, if we sign Sarr, but Sarr's never been part of our plans, and we've just done it because he's available, that's a worry for me.
It seems pointless, doesn't it?
Is it though? Really? When you look at what wingers you've got at the moment, is it a pointless buy?
Well, our priority was Sancho, innit? So, but that don't look like it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
But
So
I
if
agree.
you go for
I
plan
agree.
B, go on, man.
No, go on, man. You speak.
No, I was just saying. What do you think? Do you think as the plan B that someone like Sarr's not a bad option? It looks like you guys are not going to get Sancho by the looks of it. So if that's the case, what's your second option, mate?
You've got a point. I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah, that's making a good point.
The hope is, my answer is, again, we don't know what the answer is because we're not in the boardroom. What we have to pray on and hope is that there is a pecking order. It's Sancho's number one choice. If we can't get Sancho, Joe Bloggs. If we can't get Joe Bloggs, it's this guy. But then you start going down the pecking order, and it's they clearly become weaker each time you go down. That's why they're in a pecking order. That's why they're in that's why there's a hierarchy to it. If we're going too far down that pecking order, we shouldn't be touching it with a barge pole. Equally, if somebody comes up, again, it could be a top player. If they weren't in our plans, if they weren't on a... I imagine that if I was running the transfer department of Man United, I would almost have a gigantic board up that has every position that you could possibly want to fill. And there's a number and a list of players' names on there, photographs on there, and you prioritize around who you want as a club number one, right down to say your third or fourth choice. And that should almost be a living organism of a process. And you know what? If someone like a Sarr starts performing really well in the Premier League, okay, let's throw Sarr on the maybes board. Let's send out some scouts to watch him. We've watched him. He fits the bill. We've done character reference checks. He fits the bill. Right? Let's where do we put him in our top five? He goes third. If he's on there and then he's available and Sancho isn't, you sign him. However, this is where due diligence comes into it. Does signing Sarr mean that we won't be able to have a place in our squad for Sancho in 12 months? If the answer's no, but then what we'll do is we'll sell Pereira, we'll sell Mata, and it opens that space up, then you do it. If the answer's no, because I don't know what their plan is, but if the answer's no for whatever reason, it means it will stop Sancho from happening in 12 months, then I say we wait for our number one target if we think we can still do it. And the problem is that's how it should be run, in my view. My fear is that the club try and run it that way, is in Ole, the transfer gurus, the scouts, but the board come in and go, no. That's my issue here, that we don't stick to a plan of action. I mean, we had Kai to the line. Kai, what do you make of Ole's kicking off with the board today? What do you make of it, mate?
I mean, I agree with him. Why should he be content about like the situation that United are in? You guys need a right winger. You guys need a left back. And if United can afford that and can give that to him, then he has every right to be frustrated, because at the end of the day, he's going to be held accountable. And if he's going to be held accountable, then the board need to be held accountable for their part of the deal.
I couldn't agree with you more. There's a comment here from Fabrizio today where he said that I want to read this. I know this is from somebody called Adam. I can't pronounce that surname, but somebody from The Athletic. I can't pronounce his surname. Very sorry. It says Man United initial inquiries for Ismail Sarr in January, but the prospect of an approach for a permanent or a loan deal is not understood to be imminent. Relations between Watford and United are strong after the James Garner loan move. That for me tells me that we're not even looking at him. That's almost a way of a journalist keeping the door open to say, "Oh, we told you there was." Do you get what I mean? It's almost saying there's no noise, there's no sound that's going to happen. Oh, but Watford and Man United have got a good relationship. What does that mean? Like, do you get what I mean? It's a weird one. It's a bit like you having a good friendship with a colleague at work, and people going, "Oh, are they together?" He's never asked her out. She's never asked him out. They've never expressed their love for each other, but they're fond of each other as friends. So who knows in the future? That's not an answer. The answer is, no, they're not together, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. Like I don't even think the Sarr link is real. That's why I'm saying to fans, slow yourself. The only two links right now that have any kind of tangibility to them are Alex Telles and Sancho. My hope is, if we do or don't land them, is that we try again in January, because they're Ole's number ones. And if we landing, I would rather wait a year, 2 years for a number one target than buy a third or a fourth choice or go after someone that we had no interest in signing. That
You don't need Salah. Yeah, you don't need Salah. That's a waste of money. Why? Why spend 30
no, I
million
think
on
we
a player
do.
who's
I
just not
think
that much better than Dan James?
no, but I think
he is better.
I think he's better than Jan
He's
James.
You
better
said
than
not
Dan
much better.
No, I think he's a better
If it was-
technical football player. So I think he is.
If it was me,
Ability-wise, he is.
if it was me, I'd go knocking on the door with Bayern Munich. You've got Sane that's just gone there. You've got Kingsley Coman, who's probably going to be sitting on the bench most of the season. Why not just knock on the door and see what they're saying about him? Because he ain't going to be happy being benched, and he's probably better
Yeah.
than Sa. So he's
That's-
probably a
Yeah,
better
but Bayern
option.
doesn't sell. Bayern needs they're going to compete in 4 competitions. They're not going to sell their top 3 wingers. There's no way.
A comment here
It's
from
worth the-
a comment here from Talk MU says, "I'm not convinced that Ole is the right man to take us to a league win. I just don't see it." And do you know what,
All
bro?
right, Terry.
Yeah, go on.
Who is then? Tell him who is. We had Jose Mourinho, who have bashed out, who have criticized, who have apologized for my behavior. We had Louis van Gaal, who I didn't think he should have been sacked. Yeah, I knew David Moyes is going to fail regardless. Yeah, so take away David Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho couldn't do it. Tell us who can. Tell him. Just tell our comment, that idiot comment, who can take us forward. Tell him who can.
You need,
Tell him who can.
you need Arteta, mate. That's who you need.
I look at it this way. I've got a video coming out later that I spoke about this before, where I'm not convinced Ollie's the right guy, and everybody knows that. Although I'm backing him because I don't think the foundation is there. I don't think the So I don't want to use the word commitment until I see that the board are doing everything in their power to help a manager. Someone like an Ole is better for the football club than someone that doesn't have an emotional connection to us, because I think Ole loves the club enough to take all the heat he gets on the chin, even if it isn't his fault, because he understands that he's got to try and he's holding this sinking ship together. And I still think it's a sinking ship in the sense of there's holes all over the place that the Glazers need to patch up and fix. And I'm talking processes and procedures here. Ollie's never going to get them to stop taking money out of the football club, no matter what Ole says, no matter what Fergie says. If we could resurrect the great late Sir Matt Busby from the ground, he couldn't stop them from doing it. That isn't going to happen. So what you have to do is you have to work with what you've got and make the best out of a bad situation. And I think until Ole can get the board on side and get the processes and the culture's right now amongst the players, I feel that. But until we can get the board element and the process is right, where we're running things in the correct way, and then maybe somebody like Ole moves onto that board when he's done as being manager, and you bring someone like a Poch or a Nagelsmann in. Until that's done, every single manager will fail with the way this club is being run. And we kind of know that by this sort of thing that's going around, that we back a manager so he gets in the Champions League, and then we don't back him to go to that next level. And if that's the continual pattern, then Poch is going to... one of the reasons that Poch was falling out with Tottenham is because they weren't spending enough money on players and getting him what he wanted, as an example. And, when you speak to Man United fans that don't like Ole right now, our squad right now, according to them, isn't as good as Tottenham's was 2 years ago when it was at its peak. And Poch couldn't win a title with them. Now, these same people tell us time and time again that the only standard worth having at Man United is gold standard, and we must be winning league titles. But now you're willing to bring a manager in who had a better squad than we had now, a better board than we've got now, according to you, and you think he's going to make us winners. That makes no sense. It makes no sense to me to bring in any manager who hasn't won something with better teams and better boards and better run clubs than what we've got. However, I think we've got a really good 10, 11 players at Man United, but we still need more. There isn't that strength in depth. So for me, removing Ole right now would be the biggest mistake this board has made post-Fergie, in my very humble opinion. But that Man United fan who said that is just called in now. Talk MU is with us on the line. He should be popping on in just a second. Talk MU, expand on what you were saying about Ole, please.
Yeah, right. So how are you doing, son?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good, mate.
Yeah, I spoke to you. I don't know how long ago it was, and I said to you, we're going to give Ole time, game by game. We're going to afford him time, game by game. Got us to into the top 3, which was, in my opinion, he did half decent job, but it was also, some of the teams around that position didn't play as well as they could have done and should have done. So I don't believe it was just a case of Ole was, manager of the month. I don't know. I was watching last night and they were talking about the best defence, third best defence in the league and all the rest of it. It's all right having a third best defence, but if you cannot put a ball in the back of the net, we ain't going to win anything. Now, in terms of Ole as the right man or not, I just think he's not ruthless. I don't think he's ruthless enough, and also his tactics. He's not over that lockdown we've just had, right? He had all that time to get into the individual players' heads in terms of what your specific role is in the team. This is what you've got to do, and this is when you've got to do it. And time again, even those first 2 games I've just watched last night and the Palace game, they're still doing the same things they were doing at the end of last season, and it's just not. It's not going to work for us. I'm telling you that now. Unless he identifies it or somebody identifies it for him, and not just that as well. On top of that, having Carrick and McKenna as the coaching staff is, for me, it's just not happening. We need, you go back to Fergie with what's his name, McLaren or Carlos Queiroz, that kind of caliber of coach. McKenna and Carrick, don't get me wrong, Carrick was a fantastic footballer, we know that. But in terms of coaching, I don't know.
No, I understand where you're coming from. That I think you make some good points here about Ole, and some of the things you say I agree with. Equally with we spoke about it last night on the show. I don't necessarily think it's tactics. I think it's some players' ability to produce in those moments. Some of the mistakes we make especially in attacking phases, are so basic. I don't even think. I think a literal PE teacher at school would be frustrated with the mistakes they make. I'm talking their schoolboy-esque. There's a comment here from Ayu who says, Terry, why doesn't Ole get criticism for this window, but you give him credit for good business? Well, because they're two different things, my friend. Ole's job is to identify the right players to come in and improve his team. And primarily he's done that. His percentage ratio of signings who have improved us, even in short term to who haven't. You'd argue Dan James isn't working out. Agallo is a 4th choice striker, so he's done okay. Everybody else has done pretty good in terms of the team factually improving. So Ole's gets praised for the good business because the business we brought in was great. Us not signing anybody is not Ole's job. Ole wants Telles. Ole wants Jadon Sancho. If the board can't deliver that, that's not on Ole. Now, if those signings come in and they flop, then it's on Ole. That's the fundamental difference here. It's if we sign them, you say well done to the board for getting the players in, but then the pressure goes on to Ole that those players must deliver because they're his players. If, for instance, we don't sign them, you can't hold. It's just not Ole's job, It's as simple as that, I have an implementation team and an account manager team within the organization I work for. If I sign a client up and we onboard them, it then becomes the integration and account management team's responsibility to make sure they operate as a good client. It's not their fault if I don't land them because they're not a client. So, yeah, I think it's that same difference there. But people, listen, I appreciate everyone who's tuning in. I know there's so much more to say on this, but I do have to go. Thank you to everybody that became a new member during this stream. It means a great deal to me. One more super chat here says the board like Ole because they can bully him.
Fuck off, man.
Or language.
That's taking
Language. I need you guys not swearing on the channel, please.
All right.
It says here, he goes on to say it can be that they won't back him because they expect him to fail, like what happened with Jose. Listen, I agree with the sentiment of Mo. I don't think it's Ole's people have this perception of Ole.
Let me just say something on that, Terry. Let me just say before you go, these people, if he's a United fan, why is he not? By that logic, wasn't Sir Alex Ferguson a yes man then? By that logic, wasn't Sir Alex Ferguson here? By that logic, but now because Ole's the easy target for him to pick, I said Ole's a yes man. No matter what board comes in, clashes against Woodward and the Glazers, or end up getting the sack, same as Jose did. Jose was a yes man to extent until he never got his defender in his 3rd season and he got the bullet. So this yes man is just doing my head, and that's the reason why I told him to F off, because things like that just I get annoyed, you know.
No, I know you do. Listen, I've said it before. The Ole yes man thing is just a joke. We cried our eyes out as fans when Jose was too outspoken and airing dirty linen in public, and now that Ole keeps it private, he's considered the yes man. If you speak to anybody, Jamie Jackson's got a book coming out, an autobiography about Ole, where if you speak to anyone that knows Ole, right? Anyone who knows Ole, they'll tell you that he's the baby-faced assassin. Why do you think he's called the baby-faced assassin? Because he looks baby-faced and soft, but in real terms, he's a killer. You know, the story between him and Gary Neville, and Gary Neville always said this. He goes, when he first walked in the dressing room when he signed, he didn't look like a football player. He looked timid. He looked shy. He didn't look athletic. And then listen to what Ollie's response was. He went, yeah, but what did I do to you in that first training session? Ollie not only scored goals, he sent him up in the air. Ollie is no yes man. Ollie is no weak individual. And that's what I love. That's one thing I love about Ollie, that he comes across like that. Walk. If you push Ollie, he'll push back. And for me, I think he has gone in and had words. But then Ollie's doing it the right way. I don't want Ollie in an interview slagging the club off. I want him doing it in private how he's done. That's what men do. He's not acting like a little boy. He's not acting like a petulant child. Weak people do what Ollie did, what Jose did. Not having the frank conversation face to face, doing it behind your back or doing it subliminally. That's what weak people do. That's what cowards do. Ollie's not a coward. Rather than crying to the media, crying to a journalist, sending out a cryptic tweet, he just goes to the people directly and has a conversation. That's what real men, that's what real adults do. That's what strong people do. End of story.
Well, you know what, I just want to say before you go, the one of the things that is kind of piling that kind of weight on top of me that Ollie might not be the right man is the fact that how he's let Dan James just continually be the scapegoat when he's come on and played, and everybody then starts raging on about he's doing the same. He gets to, like, time and time again to get a ball played in, uses his pace, he catches up to the ball, and rather than just going, you know what, I'm going to turn this now, I'm going to slow it down and turn it, hold the ball up for a second, I'm going to use my pace again while the players get in the box. But he doesn't do that. He always ends up just catching up with the ball and then oofing it. And it's, you know, he's done it. He does it time and time again. Now, where is Ollie's individual man management? This is what I'm worried. That sort of worries me, because you know as well as I do, that was Alex Ferguson's golden rule number one. Individual management of the players.
No, I don't understand that. But equally, we're acting like players didn't foul under Fergie. Players haven't fouled under Klopp. Players haven't fouled under Wenger. Players haven't fouled under all these top managers. I get your point, but it only stands up to the point if every other manager that's better than him hasn't had a signing that's failed. They all have. You know, if this notion that Klopp turns all these players into gold is a lie, because he wouldn't have had to have sold half his squad if he could turn his players into stars. It's a fallacy. But listen, mate, I appreciate your points. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.